Hopefully we'll go back to him when we get a chance to do so. Now, to get a reaction to this, we were expecting to have a chit-chat with Wilson Sosion, the Secretary General, Kenya National Union of Teachers, but we are not able to get him at the moment. We possibly will have a chance to talk with him a bit later on. Let's now switch gears and talk matters development. And as we mentioned earlier, Makueni Governor Dr. Kibwana is already making waves in 2018 for a raft of projects that seem to be transforming his county. We're talking about healthcare, the commissioning of the Kikima dairy milk plant, and of course last year's launch of the Makueni fruit processing plant, just to name a few. So what is this second-term governor doing that has led him to receive so much praise from a usually skeptical public? That's what we want to find out now, because the doctor is here with us in studio today. Governor, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for finding time to be here with us. And I want to start with a tweet that was posted on the 27th of December 2017, where you say, "I personally took lead of the mass universal healthcare registration drive. Our target is to enroll all the 180,000 households into the Makueni Care program." Now, Kenyans online have gone crazy over the concept of a mass universal healthcare registration drive. For those who are not aware of how it's working, maybe that's how we can start off this discussion. Just let us know how this project is working.
Thank you very much for having me. It's actually a very simple idea because we said to ourselves, how much money were our people paying in our county hospitals? And now we have about 12 of them. So when we calculated what they would ordinarily pay, we said, suppose we were able to provide for that in the budget and charge just a nominal registration fee for every household of 500 shillings.
Okay.
And would of course get an income out of that as well. And then we said to ourselves, there are also donors who are helping us, like with maternity, like Danida, like World Bank with the maternity, and they're helping all counties, not just us. So that we thought that when you mobilize that kind of resources, and of course we invested quite a lot in the facilities, because before you can have something that you call universal, you must also make sure that you have your equipment, you have your staff, and so on. So after that we said, let's pilot this project for 65 years and above. And so we started that in May of 16. And that was quite successful. Actually, we got old people who usually would not come to hospitals because when they did and they couldn't pay, they were losing their land, they were losing livestock, and so on. And so they were coming, and after 6 months, we realized that this works, that they come to the hospital, they don't pay for inpatient, they don't pay for drugs, they don't pay for examinations or x-rays, they don't pay for dentals. So we saw that it was working.
And this was when? Around October 2014 or even before that? Because we see that, I read somewhere that the project was launched since October 2014.
Sorry, 2014, that was now when we were piloting.
Oh, pilot, okay.
When we were piloting.
Okay.
So, because now it is about 2 years, so that we are sure now it works. So then we decided that we would not register the old people, because those who are 65 and above, they are households. Because we said those ones now are free. You just show your ID.
Okay.
And you receive the treatment. And now for those households that are under 65 years old, for a household, after they pay 500 shillings, the father and the mother or single parent, and any children who are 18 and below, or are 24 and below if they are school going, those would be treated in any facility in our county, including ambulances, including if unfortunately somebody passes on, for 10 days they would not pay mortuary fees. So
it sounds almost too good to be true. How has it been, since the launch? How has the uptake been?
The uptake has been fantastic, because our facilities, and now we are talking about, because the dispensaries are free, the health centers are free, and all our facilities are 234. So it is now at the level of the county referral hospital and the level 4 hospitals. where now they were being charged. And so they just come in, and a lot of them now realize that since they are not paying, there is no need not to come when they are unwell.
Okay.
And indeed, like last time when we were registering people, because we do that every year, we also have clinics, because one of the problems that we previously had was people with high blood pressure, people with diabetes, they would not easily come to facilities in time, because they thought that they couldn't pay. So we also have those periodic camps, and we test them, and we are even now getting people, even cancer, we are getting people in advance to know that they are unwell, and then they get into treatment.
My goodness. Healthcare is a very complicated discussion that governments around the world, even till today, especially even in developing economies and developed economies as well. The United States, a big discussion on healthcare. In Kenya, the national government, always put on the spot about healthcare. What have you done differently for you to then say that our healthcare rollout in Makueni has been different?
I think first of all is to get an appropriate budget for it, because when we came into government in 2013, we realized that most of the money went to health because of the dispensaries from the grassroots. So we said, and also most of the employees were also in the health department. So we said that this is an opportunity, and we are going to be creative. We are going to try to be innovative. And so we said, why don't we first of all make sure that we have dispensaries that are enough so that they can take most of the load, the primary health care. And we found that since independence, we had about 109 dispensaries. And we pushed that to double by the end of the first term, so that we had like over 110, which we completed. Some had not been completed, and the new ones. So that meant that a lot of the people would, in the first instance, get treatment there. Then we said that we need to start making sure that there are labs. We need to make sure that, of course, the staff is there. And then drugs. Because, again, if you don't have drugs in a free universal health care system, then the people will say that this is not free. So we made sure that with the suppliers, whether it is KEMSA, whether it's meds, we made sure that we get enough drugs to the dispensaries, to all the facilities, and we pay for them, because sometimes if you don't pay, the suppliers withhold. So it is how you get those basic prerequisites.
That makes the difference.
That makes the difference. So that when you say you are now rolling something, it is genuine. It is not just it is not just a name. Okay.
We did have some tweets. Do we have those tweets now? Okay, not yet. We just wanted to show a little bit about some of the pictures, just to put sort of like a picture to what you're talking about. Briefly, a cartoonist and commentator by the name of Patrick Gadara, he took time to study the Makueni care model. He's full of praise for it, on one hand, but he's also raised concerns about a few things. Number one, his study shows an influx of patients to hospitals. Now that healthcare is affordable in Makueni, more people are going than happened before, and of course that causes a challenge to the infrastructure. Some patients are going to hospital for minor complaints. I have a headache. Healthcare is affordable now. I don't need to go to a pharmacy and just pick medicine. I can go to a hospital. Mismatch of skills in certain areas, because doctors now have to deal with a lot of administration challenges. And I think we have that first tweet. Can we put it up? And there we go. So you actually posted this. This is of a gentleman going for registration, Albania Kioko, of that particular location, Makueni County, and his 4 dependents, now accessing health services in our hospitals without pay for the next 1 year. It cost him 500 shillings to enroll. And of course, you also had a registration drive in late December. This is just for the benefit of our viewers. But bringing you back now to my question, these are several challenges. I'm sure it hasn't all been rosy. What are you doing to make sure that Makueni care remains sustainable even after your second term is over?
I think when you start, there must be hiccups, because...
so you agree that some of these challenges are
Of course, they are real. They are real, because we got many people now who had not previously gone to hospital and they'd been unwell for a while, coming to hospital. And so we had to deal with that first wave of people who legitimately were not going to hospital because they couldn't afford it. Then we also have to deal with, every time now somebody thinks they are unwell, they just come to hospital. So that it means a lot of people come. Unfortunately, most of those are not like, they don't become inpatients. They are treated and then they are okay. So in actual fact, something that we found, because we also started a counseling unit, so that in all our sub-counties we have counselors, and we discovered that a very high percentage of people come to dispensaries and come to the hospitals not because they are physically unwell.
They think they're sick.
They think they are sick, and but then they present the sickness as like a depression instead of this is a depression.
Okay.
But it is presented as I have a headache and I have all those things. So also that is something that we are learning. But it is true that as you start, you must have challenges, and it's a question of you know, dealing with each challenge as it arises, so that the system becomes better, including even wanting to partner with the NHIF, so that we can also help particularly the older people alongside the national government to make sure that they also access NHIF.
Fair enough. Let's switch gears and talk about another project, because we don't have much time. I know you have another engagement you need to get to. Let's put up the second tweet. Another project that also a lot of people are talking about in Makueni County. Kikima Dairy Plant now has started production of fresh milk. Our farmers will no longer worry about wastage and the lack of market. Briefly, how will this help you know, farmers in Makueni County? And I can see that on one hand you have supply is low, but demand is high. Is that what sort of gave you the reasoning that this is what we need to have in our county?
Because we started actually this project by first of all helping the farmers with artificial insemination, so that we have a subsidy. Instead of them paying 1,500 per insemination, we would pay the substantial sum, so that they paid only 300 shillings. So we saw, for them. Yes, we saw a multiplication of, you know, their cows, and therefore the milk now was more, particularly in the hilly regions of Boni, of Kaiti, of also Makueni and Kilome. So when that happened, they started making demands for assistance in terms of milk coolers, in terms of some plans to help them, because a lot of the milk, when now it was a lot, it was being wasted, it was being poured because of access to markets in a timely fashion. So we thought that the place where there was the most milk, which is Boni, and the potential, and also there is Kadonzweni, there is Makueni, Watertown itself, but we said we begin with Kikema, so that we brought that to a big level where now they can pack, you know, they can pack their milk. We are working on long life, also the potential for mala and for cheese, but now the farmers there is no longer this question of milk being poured because it is going bad. And
so if we send our cameraman there,
precisely,
he will not see those pictures anymore in your county.
Not at all.
Okay.
And then also now the satellites, all the people are producing milk. We can now get it there. It is packaged, and then it is, you know, sold in our supermarkets, and hopefully like Ngoni, like there's also Anakomati in Mali, like Malays and so on, so that the farmers are helped. That's the concept. And it's the same also in the Kalamba, a fruit processing plant.
In fact, before you talk about that, let's look at the tweet in regards to that, if we can put that up on the screen. There we go. This is the one you're talking about, the Kalamba fruit processing plant. Of, you know, the tweet said Makueni, value addition, curbed waste, stabilized prices, and of course you say the value of the mango sector in Makueni is projected to increase immensely from the current 3 billion. Increase to what? To what's your target? What are you hoping to generate in terms of income from the kind of investment you've now put in fruit processing?
I think that investment, which is as of now about $500 million, and we think by the time also EU have come in to assist us so that we can make the mangoes juice with about $1 billion. So with about 100 million. So we think that when this is complete in terms of we make provision for oranges, we make provision for also avocado, tomatoes, will be easily the farmers will make about 10B from that.
So that's growth of what, 300% of what you're doing?
Of what we are doing currently.
Okay.
But
okay.
as of now, with this season, because we are buying the fruits, the market has stabilized, and you know, farmers used to get like 3 shillings, and sometimes even the mangoes will go to waste.
Okay.
So at least that was our desire, and we're also thinking of a strategic partner or partners, because it's usually not the business of county governments or even national governments to get into the private sector.
Okay. Now let's make this discussion a bit broader. You have been praised widely by Kenyans, especially on social media, and we'll be putting up one of those tweets now. Can we just take a look? We had 3 of them or so, but this is one by Donald Kipkorir, who and, you know, a lot of people who online follow. He says, with the launch of the Kikima dairy plant and Makueni fruit processing plant, my law professor is giving the Kamba nation self-evident development. Of course, I won't read what he says after that. We'll just keep it to the first part. My question then being to you, that praise can quickly turn into condemnation if one is not careful. For the long term, what are you doing to ensure that your projects, whether it's healthcare, whether it's fruit processing, are sustainable, will outlive you, and of course will not fall prey to political challenges, etc.?
First of all, I don't think what we are doing in Makueni is completely unique, because a lot of the counties, when you look at how they have rolled out devolution, you will find that there are things that they are doing which are very creative and which are very positive. And I think one thing that we haven't done as of now is to examine the career of devolution in the whole country, so that we can actually see new things that are happening which never
Kenyans
used.
should look at other counties also,
other counties,
not just Makueni.
Not just Makueni as well. But having said that, we are trying to be big in terms of sustainability, because a lot of the projects, whether it is these big ones or not, if the community doesn't own them, then they easily collapse. And actually, one of the things that we have done from village level, and we have about 3,600 villages in Makueni, to something we call a cluster, about 10 villages together, a sub-ward. We have 60 of them, and a ward. We have community forums, so that every project that we have is owned by those beneficiaries.
Okay.
And they have a project management committee for each one of them.
Public participation.
Public participation.
Ongoing.
And if you're a contractor, for example, you cannot be paid before those citizens say that you have done it successfully. And of course, the technical people will also say so. Our administration will also say so. But from budget up to the conclusion of the project itself, and then going forward, we have citizens who watch over it, because it is their project. So we are trying to tell them that as a government, a county government, we are just facilitators. This development is their development, and they must be at the forefront of thinking about what it is, with of course some guidance, you know, from the technical people, implementing of course with us. But ultimately, we are saying that there has to be that capacity, so that they own their projects in a real sense.
And that will outlive you, because those are the people who carry on those projects even when you're no longer the governor of Makueni County.
And even when other governors come, if they try to depart from the model of citizens owning, because this is something that they started when they wanted to dissolve the government. They said, if it's not working, it's ours, we'll dissolve it. So it's something that is becoming a culture in Makueni.
In Makueni County. Let's look at one last tweet before I ask you another question. Standing ovation, this is from Ahmed Nasir Abdullah, Senior Counsel. Standing ovation for Professor Kibwana for the excellent job he's doing. Can he tell the 46 others to go to his county for study tour and benchmarking? But you're saying Kenyans look at other counties, there are other things happening there as well. But last question, any advice for governors who just came in? They are barely into 6 months now or so. What would you tell them, having been there already for at least 5 years?
I think at the county level, we have to have less politics and more focus on development, because if we get trapped into that political cycle, then it is easy to miss opportunities. And we struggled in the first year because there was a lot of political noise. I think also it is important to think through these projects with the citizenry, so that the technical people don't just come and say that this is what is going to be done. And of course, we have to try to make sure that the procurement processes, the accountability processes, monitoring the projects themselves, all that system is into place. And we just think outside the box, and we are creative, and we are just persistent
in what you do.
Yeah, but even in terms of the benchmarking, for example, we have an interesting border project where we help the borders, and we went to Kitengela. We benchmarked ourselves in Kitengela, where the border even have built high rises just from an initial investment of the border. So and of course people are coming to Makueni also to benchmark in terms of the climate change, because we were like the first county to do climate change regulations, and also have international community helping us.
So you think most of the counties can learn from each other? From each other.
Okay. And that actually in the second cycle of devolution, we need to emphasize that, so that we go to each county and we learn from each other, because I believe that there's a lot to learn from each county. Even the national government can learn from counties, and ourselves, we continue to learn from the national government.
I certainly hope their representatives are watching and can hear from you that they can learn a thing or two from county governments. One last question. Some of my viewers will not forgive me if I don't ask you. Wiper Democratic Movement.
Yes.
What is the way forward? Put off a planned People's Assembly Forum. Some are saying this could slow down the plan to swear in Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka. Where is Wiper at this moment, especially after the press conference that was held, I think, about 2 days ago?
Wiper is ndani kabisa katika NASA. That is where we are, because we are the biggest beneficiaries of being in NASA. 2022.
You did not sound like you were beneficiaries the other day. You were complaining that
we complain because within NASA there must be democracy. When we agree on things, they must be done. There isn't a senior and junior partner. All the four principals are equal principals, although we deferred to Honorable Raila to be our flag bearer, and Kalonzo to be deputy, and even the two others have done commendable work. Because coalitions on the continent, they fail, and in Kenya they have been almost failing after every election. They fail when democracy is not accepted there. Just like even in the political parties that we have, as we ask for democracy at the national level, even a lot of them are not democratic. So it's a question of trying to work to make sure that all these values in our constitution, the values we are yearning for, are truly realized everywhere. But
have your complaints been addressed by ODM, by the NASA leadership?
The principals are meeting at the summit level to look at those, and we shall also have a retreat as the family of NASA. But Wiper is the biggest beneficiary of NASA, because in 2022. Honorable Raila has said he will support
and you have that guarantee
that guarantee is in writing, and I think that's the first way of getting a guarantee, when people discuss and it's in writing. And going forward, we are expecting that will be sorted out. But of course, as of now, the focus is on trying to make sure that our electoral system is a system that delivers democracy, and whoever is voted for becomes the leader. And therefore, as Wiper, we will go to, of course, the People's Assembly to be postponed, because of course you have to get money for it. There wasn't good time and so on, and but we emphasize.
Yes, it will still happen.
It will happen, but we emphasize national dialogue. For us and for Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, he thinks that given his history of helping many countries to have dialogue, he thinks that this is still an important opportunity that shouldn't be missed. And after all the principles are saying there should be dialogue.
That's right. We'll leave it on that note. Governor, thank you for finding time to be here with us.
Thank you.
Asante sana. We certainly hope you've learned a little bit about what's happening in Makueni County. I'll try and read your SMSs a bit later on. And thank you to the Governor for finding time to be here with us. We take a quick break now. When we return, so much more on Citizen Extra. We will be right back.